Cheryl's theory is if you want to be mad at somebody, be mad at Jimmy Butler. She feels like he has basically betrayed, the trust that was put in him by both Tibbs and by extension Glenn Taylor. She feels like he is if she didn't use the word villain, but that was the implication that he's the bad guy here. Where do you stand on that?
Well, I mean, absolutely. There's a lot of blame to go around, and Jimmy deserves a lot of it, no question. Because he came in he was brought in to play for his coach, his guy that he trusts and loves. He was given the keys to the organization. I mean, nobody had more influence on what they did on a day-to-day basis than Jimmy Butler. He was the featured guy on the team. Like, Towns and Wiggins, and you can say, oh, well, Wiggins actually took more shots. In the fourth quarter, when it was time to go, it was Jimmy and Jimmy alone, and that he got all of the shots, he got all of the big roles, all of that stuff. And so, he came in to this thing, with the Mall of America and all that, saying, I'm going to be a leader. I'm going to show these young guys the way. We're going to establish a new culture here. All of these things. The Timberwolves throughout the whole deal have given him every indication that they want to keep him here long term and pay him big money. Maybe they didn't want to pay him the biggest money they could right now to preserve some of their roster, but they did want to pay him. Ultimately, Jimmy has decided that, because for a multitude of reasons, the contract situation, the wondering about Towns and Wiggins being the guys that he can really compete with going forward, maybe wanting a bigger market, all of these things, he's decided to say, I want out. And it is his right, of course, to say that. But he can be frustrated when he says to Tibbs, I told you all summer long I wasn't going to be here. Like, I told you this. So don't act like this is the first time that, that you're surprised that this is the way that it's going. Still, now that we're here, he has really gone the nuclear option instead of like showing up to camp, playing and practicing games, quietly saying trade me and doing it that way. And trying to, give the Wolves at least a little bit of leverage. Maybe they go into December before they can trade him, things of that nature. He's gone the nuclear option here, and it's not becoming a look. This is now, I know that there are executives around the league that wonder about Jimmy Butler's character now. It didn't end well in Chicago for him. It's not ending well in Minnesota. And so, there is a certain part of it where like, these young guys aren't, completely locked in right now. Find a way to help them out.
Right. That's leadership.
That's leadership.
And that's the point Reeve and I were making on our show is that, instead of his leadership style has been, let me prove how much better I am than you, not let me help you become better.
Right. Yes. And so, so there have been issues there. And again, like Wiggins and Towns deserve their blame for maybe not kind of just completely immersing themselves in the Tibbs way and really buying in and things like that. And so there's a multitude of fingers you can point. But there's certainly and Jimmy Butler's going to be damaged coming out of this, and he doesn't care. I mean, he wants to get done what he wants to get done, and so he deserves blame. But I still think that absolutely, if they didn't have this current setup of Tibbs as president and GM, and there was some general manager / president in there who had their finger on the pulse and had the global view of the organization in mind, they absolutely would have picked up on those cues and at least explored trading Jimmy this summer. At least explored it. Like, there were several teams that came to the Wolves and checked in July, not knowing about all this stuff, but just saying, hey, Jimmy Butler's contract is coming up. We've heard there's some chemistry issues. Would you ever think about moving him? It was quickly shot down. So there was an abdication of responsibility to at least explore that on the front office's part. But yes, Jimmy going to this degree is not a good look for him, and is not kind of requisite of the type of guy who is a leader, who you can hitch your wagon to and do all that. He'll have to prove, he'll have some things to prove in his next stop, wherever that is, that, okay, now you got what you want. So now you better go with it and embrace it. And he can do that, but right now, he's taken a hit from a reputation standpoint around the league.
Talk North can help you save money in a couple of different ways. One is if you order Bite Squad, and Bite Squad delivers from all kinds of Twin City restaurants, including a lot of my favorites like Brasa and Delano's. I've already ordered Delano's Pizza through Bite Squad a few times. Go to bitesquad.com or download their app. Use the promo code TalkNorth, all caps, one word, TalkNorth, and you'll get free delivery. You'll also be helping out the network. Also, you can go to SodaStick, sodastick.com, S-O-T-A, stick.com. Use the promo code YouBetcha for You Betcha Basketball, and you will get free delivery on any size order, where usually I think you have to spend like $99 to get free delivery. If you just want to go on sodastick.com and order one shirt, one flag, one grilling item, one piece of artwork like the Minneapolis Miracle artwork, you will get free delivery. It's a great way to go. Also, SodaStick is, like so many of the companies we work with, local Minnesota-based company, started up here, is doing very well, and produces all. I'm wearing my Minneapolis 99 shirt right now. They also do a lot of events. If you hear this on Saturday, September 29th, they will be doing their SodaStick Hockey Classic all day at the Schwann Super Rink. You can stop by there. Go to sodastick.com to check out more details about that event. Their next event after that's scheduled is October 21st, their pop-up shop at Earl Brown Event Center and Slice of the Twin Cities. They have double-sided skull flags. They have double-sided touch 'em all flags, Minnesota hockey double-sided flags, Wolf State double-sided flags. Obviously, we specialize in their basketball gear here at the You Betcha Basketball Show, but they have pretty much every sport you could want, including curling. So check out sodastick.com, and thanks to sodastick.com for sponsoring the program. Let's go to an interesting Twitter question here from Robert Boutin. I hope I got your name right. I apologize if I didn't. Big if, the Wolves part ways with Tibbs, should Lynx coach Cheryl Reeve be Glenn Taylor's top candidate to coach the Wolves?
Would she be the top candidate? I don't know. Should she be in the mix? Yeah, absolutely. I think she would deserve an interview. I know that, Adam Silver, there was a thing that came out this week that he's really kind of emphasizing with teams the importance of getting women in prominent positions within the franchises to avoid sort of the Dallas Mavericks situation that has come up and others. And he just thinks that it's good for the health of the league and to bring that perspective and to have, women in major roles. And so, having Cheryl as a candidate, as someone who's proven to win at an incredibly high level, who has coached for years and years, and who has, I think, shown the ability to adapt over the years, depending on her roster and her situation. She should be in the mix to look at as someone who could break that mold. Now, Becky Hammond's name will come up as well as someone who's been directly in the NBA trenches here recently for a few years, and so maybe just a slightly different experience. She certainly hasn't been running a program or presiding over a team and an organization the way Cheryl has. So that would be that would be different. But I would think that, or I would hope that, if they got to that point where Glenn decided to make a change, that she is on that list, and there's going to be some others that he has dealt with in the past who I think he felt strongly about in terms of other candidates, and that will, other NBA assistant coaches, former coaches, things like that will get looks as well as he should. He should do all of his due diligence. But when you talk about pedigree, leadership, authority, able to adapt and to situations, I think that she absolutely checks all of those boxes. So there will always be the people who say, when that happens, oh, you're just saying that because you want to look progressive, and I mean, yeah, it's important to kind of try to keep looking at what's the next thing down the road and what could do something different that could be groundbreaking. But I just look at it as I think she's a really good coach, and I think she is a really good communicator, and I think that she has sort of that gravitas that could, it's going to be tough, whoever it is, that first woman that walks in to that locker room and has to command respect and do it. That's going to be a tough thing, but I think she is one of those people that has the ability to do that.
Yeah, and I've gotten to know her even better. I always loved her as someone you interviewed and chatted with, in the media role, because she's fantastic in that way. She's blunt. She never says no comment. She tells you what she thinks. Doing the podcast with her and being behind the scenes with her a little bit more, I think what I've learned about her is not only does she have the toughness and the gravitas that you talked about and the ability to coach people, manage people, but she's also very magnetic. And, we see her when she's got her shield up, when she's ready to coach a big game, when she's, dealing with issues. You see her behind the scenes with people. She also, you can tell people have great loyalty to her. And that's an important thing. I think she can bring people together.
Yeah, it's, what we have seen, one of the things that has not worked with the current regime is there is a blind spot in sort of the human element of the whole equation. And I mean, it's easy to say that, gosh, you guys are getting paid millions of dollars. Show up, be professional, do your job. That's what we're talking about here. We don't need to have hugs and kisses, and we don't need to be shaking hands and kissing babies. Like in a perfect world, in a world where you're running a print shop or you're going through those, that's the way that you can be. But in this new world, the way that the NBA is now, you need communication. You need someone who recognizes that these guys are three-dimensional human beings and that they have sort of egos and needs and wants, and they need to be recognized that way, and you need to be proactive in addressing issues that can come up and fostering communication and all of those things. And I think that so far, as great of a coach as Tom Thibodeau is, and with some of the really good moves that they have made personnel-wise, there has been a blind spot with both Tibbs and Layden in terms of that human element and in terms of really having an idea of what your players are thinking and feeling and how do you address that and how do you smooth over these things. And I think Cheryl, in her roles has understood that that you need to do that. That's a really important part of it. It's not it's not just rolling the ball out and saying you're getting paid, go out and do your job. I mean, there are moments where you have to say suck it up. There are moments where you have to say, come on, man, like what are you doing? Like be professional. You have to do that. But there also has to be moments where you recognize, hey, Jimmy's upset. How do we address this? And that's what has not happened here so far.
We have some really good Twitter questions to get to. I want to thank and welcome Bite Squad as the newest sponsor of the Talk North Podcast Network, talknorth.com. Bite Squad delivers food from hundreds of Twin Cities restaurants. Order online at bitesquad.com. Download their app. Get food to your door in minutes. And for a limited time, they're offering free delivery to our listeners on the first order by using the code TalkNorth. All caps, one word, TalkNorth. Bite Squad, food for your mood, delivered. I've been using it, and it is very, I cook at home. I've become fairly domestic. It's kind of a nice break when you can just order food and have it show up and not have to deal with the mess or anything else. And like I said, I've been ordering Delano's Pizza and have been enjoying it a lot. So Talk North, remember that, and we do appreciate the support. From Jeff German, is Tibbs being, kind of to put a finer point on something you've already talked about, is Tibbs being stubborn and insubordinate, or is he truly trying to get the best haul for Butler? Or both?
Well, I think I'm not ready to say it's insubordination yet. Like, I think that some teams are wondering about that. I'm not ready to go that far. But I do think it's been incredibly difficult to reach these guys and communicate with them. And, I asked Scott Layden about this at the media day, and he said, hey, this is a star player, and some teams are going to be frustrated because they can't get in because they don't have the assets. And that's true. Like, you can't, Sacramento isn't going to be able to call